All right, guys, let's go ahead and clear up all the information and misinformation that's been going around recently over the internet with the whole Dragon Ball situation right now, and mainly when it comes to Dragon Ball Super, but in general, Dragon Ball as a whole. You know, what's going on? Are we going to see a future for this series? And, you know, there's been a lot of stuff, you know, going around with people saying that it's over, we're cooked, it's officially done, right? And that's just not true, because we're kind of in a gray area with Dragon Ball right now because, you know, the rights battle or whatever it may be, the stuff that we really don't know that's going on in the background between Shueisha, Capsule Corporation Tokyo, Toyotaro kind of in the middle of all of it. He can't really continue anything with the manga, okay? Just to give you guys a refresher, DeviantSite posted this, and this all comes from, like, official, you know, info from, you know, the big higher-ups at, you know, I guess it would be V-Jump or whatever. Victory Uchida, right? Editor of V-Jump confirmed that Dragon Ball Super manga will not return in 2025, and the fans need to remain patient, okay? That does not mean it's done, right? Dragon Ball isn't done just because it's not coming back this year, right? And that's no confirmation that 2026 it's officially coming back, or it's coming back in 2027 or anything like that. We don't know. I don't know what's taking so long, but you would think that after Toriyama passed, like they would have prepared for this like many years before. Like, I know it was an abrupt kind of like out of nowhere unexpected passing of Toriyama, so I get that, but it's been almost like, I mean, I'm not even 2 years. It's been over a year, okay? A little over a year, because Toriyama passed away last year in 2024, I think in March, okay? So, like, what's really happening, dude? Like, why is it taking this long for them to, you know, get their shit together and figure it out, right? I can't say, right? I don't know how all this shit works. It's an absolute mess. Like, Dragon Ball is right now in the biggest mess of a situation as I've ever seen it, okay? So I just wanted to come out here and say in this video, for those of you that think Dragon Ball is just done, it ain't, right? Dragon Ball is just too big of a series, and we'll kind of go over some, like, things that I thought were kind of, you know, funny, right? Shout outs to Epic Epicson. Now, this is not true here, okay? This statement, he goes, "Tears, bro, no series has motion like DB," right? But there is, in my opinion, some truth to this, right? The end of Dragon Ball franchise could impact Japan's economy, okay? I guess this was like a statement, or it was interpreted by somebody called Call Me ARJ. Toyotaro says this during a press conference. Now, that's not true, okay, 100% or anything, because shout-outs to Vaughn, because they stated this. They quoted me, and it does not look, they do not look at the tenses or anything like that, okay? So Epic Everson says, so it was a complete misinterpretation from him. Literally, quoted me as a source, read each individual word. No, it's decontextualized. This is about Dragon Ball GT. At the time, people relied on Dragon Ball for work and economical reasons. That is why Dragon Ball GT came to be, okay? So, was the canon quote also decontextualized, which we're going to go over because this is all from Vaughn, okay? And Vaughn is very reliable. We can rely on Vaughn. She was actually there at the event, right? And, you know, interpreting all this information with translations, and they do a really good job. So, as always, you know, credits to them. I'm going to link them down below as, like, the main person here. Everyone else is just, like, I don't know. Maybe they actually can't read. I really don't know where this came from, okay? And it's not really, like, that this is necessarily wrong, but it's not, like, what's going on in the present time, necessarily, right? But I do think there is still some truth to this, and I'll explain why, right? So, 99% of people misinterpreted, especially when Toyotaro outright said he had no power over it. Everything was misquoted, okay? So, this whole statement that the end of Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball franchise, could impact Japan's economy, I still think it is kind of true to a certain extent, and not just Japan in general, but just like the world. You know, I would have to say that Dragon Ball is way bigger than it was back then when Dragon Ball Z ended and, you know, Dragon Ball GT became a thing, right? That is, you know, that does make sense, right? It was stated there, the whole reason why they made, or not, I don't want to say the whole reason, but the reason why they didn't make Dragon Ball, or they did make Dragon Ball GT, was because people's jobs relied on it. And let's just think about the present day right now, okay? Do people rely on Dragon Ball for their job? 100%, yes. For, you know, think about how many video games and merchandise and everything that's being pushed, like, all the fucking time. They had to make a whole official Dragon Ball site just to, you know, be able to organize all the news and information that gets posted, okay? There's like figures and there's new figures and stuff that's coming out like almost every week, right? You have Dragon Ball Legends and Dokkan, which make millions, billions, trillions of dollars, right? They make so much money for Bandai, right? Think about all the people that work on those games, and not just those games. Sparking Zero, Xenoverse 2, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Dragon Ball The Breakers, Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadron that's coming out. Like, there are no series out there has this many ongoing games that are still getting support. Like, it's actually insane. Like, even without a manga and an anime or any movies right now, so many people work on Dragon Ball every single day of their life, right? It's actually insane. So I'm not saying like 100% that this is, you know, that would completely destroy the economy of like Japan or anything like that. But I do think the world in general, whoever is working on Dragon Ball or part of Dragon Ball that, you know, contributes, right? And it's their job that they work on every day, right? And it's not just like, you know, Dragon Ball. There's like many series out there that are way bigger, and, you know, Marvel and all this stuff. Like if they just flat out stopped making Marvel shit, right? No comics, no movies, no merchandise. Like, and they were just like, we're done. It would be a big rip for a lot of fucking people, right? And Dragon Ball is kind of in that same situation. It's gotten so big, and there are just so many people that work on this series, right? And it's not even like new content in the sense of like manga or like movies or like anime or anything. It's mainly merchandise, right? It's all on that side of things, right? There's just so much for Dragon Ball. Like, again, no series out there for, I would say, at least like Shueisha or like manga or whatever is pushing this much content out for video games and like, you know, merchandise and stuff. Like, One Piece is still pretty big, Naruto is still pretty big, for example, but like, how many games like do they have ongoing right now compared to Dragon Ball that's still getting support? Like, it's pretty ridiculous. Like, the games alone make so much money. I'm just specifically talking about games, and then you think about figures, cards, t-shirts, you know, all that other random shit, right? It's pretty crazy. So I do think, you know, this would affect a lot of people, and that's why, you know, Dragon Ball is just not going anywhere, right? And I would say that they have maybe about 2 years left that they can milk Daima. As funny as that sounds, like they got all of next year that's confirmed. We are getting content from Daima. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot Part 2 is going to be early 2026, okay? I don't know when the fuck Dokkan is gonna, you know, finally do the major big stuff for Daima, because they haven't yet. They have like up until Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and I think they have a Goma, like a final form Goma. But like, nobody gives a fuck about Goma, right? Super Saiyan 3 adult Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 adult Goku, right? Where are they? They're not in the game yet. So if Dokkan's gonna drag it out to 2026 for their what are they on, 11th year anniversary or whatever, then yeah, they could be doing that, okay? There's just so much content still in Daima that hasn't been adapted in a lot of the games yet. We know Sparking Zero is getting their shit this year, and it's going to be finished off. It could be literally any day now, right? Xenoverse 2, they can milk it, and they probably will. Like Majin Ku, Majin Du, Glorio, and shit. Like, there are characters from Daima that are not in the game yet that they could still milk, even though they did the big heavy hitters already. And there's just, you know, there's so many games that are still going to milk Daima for at least, I would say, the next couple of years. And they can still do it beyond that, right? You know, they're going to re-release shit on Dokkan and Legends constantly with like different animations or even potential unique material. But I'm just saying, eventually they have to make something new, okay? And the best chance we have of something fresh and new right now might be a movie. Maybe, right? Because there's still whatever's going on in the background between Shueisha and, like, you know, all this stuff with the rights battle and all this shit. This is pain in the ass, pisses me off, right? But I don't think Dragon Ball is done. We are definitely on hold, though. I will say that we are on hold for, you know, the time being until they announce something, right? And again, like I said in my initial video, don't, you know, wait. Don't wait. Go check out other things. Go focus on other things, okay? When Dragon Ball comes out and you're sitting there and you're watching the anime episode for the fucking Mora arc, then we can say we are officially back, right? No announcements, no trailers. I'm not even gonna depend on that shit anymore, okay? When we are sitting there watching new shit, that's when we can say, we are so back, ladies and gentlemen, but we are not. We are not back at all. We're fucked right now, right? But it's not, it doesn't mean that it's done, right? The Dragon Ball is not ending. It's not going anywhere. Realistically, be for real, it's not going anywhere, right? So, let's move on to some cool news that I wanted to go over. Shout outs to Enomis, or is it Enomis? I do apologize. Thank you to Koso _ Hoso for letting me publish this news. This is a big thing. Y'all probably don't give a fuck about this, but this is a big scoop here. Mami Koyama recalls, I believe that's the voice actor for Launch, right? The whole Launch thing, like what the fuck happened to Launch, right? Needing to leave for a year abroad, she called Toriyama directly to inform him that she would no longer be able to voice Launch. She asked him, if possible, to stop including the character in the manga. After that, the character Launch disappeared from the story. That's a crazy scoop, right? There were statements from Toriyama saying that he did forget, and that is true, but I think it was like a very, very short temporary thing where it's like he forgot for like a couple of weeks and he was like, oh yeah, I remember her, you know, and I guess this was the main reason why Launch just didn't appear in general, right? Which is pretty crazy because shout outs to Sailor Spaz here, because this makes sense here. This is a pretty crazy thing too. They interacted with or is it Mommy? I think it's Mommy. Mommy Koyama several years ago at a con. Okay, they saw them at a convention, and she said the same thing in her panel, though perhaps the missing nuance here is that she wanted Launch to temporarily not appear while she was away, so the character wouldn't be recast. That makes sense, right? You're the voice actor. You want to still voice this character, but they were gone, so they were like, hey, can you just like put the Launch in general like on hold, right, for a bit until I come back, and then we can have her back. And then I think eventually just Toriyama got caught up with other things. He was developing different stories and stuff, and he just didn't put her in. We saw her in she did the Spirit Bomb Genkidama shit at the end of the Boo saga. That was in the anime. I don't know if that was, I can't recall if that was in the manga or not, but it was definitely in the anime, right? So, I mean, she's not 100% forgotten, but right now in modern Dragon Ball, we just don't see her really. I think she was in like one of the TV specials. I don't know if it was Yo Son Goku and his bitches return or some bullshit like that. I don't know which one it was. She was there. I think she was sitting at a table with Gohan. I can't remember, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But yeah, that's huge, dude. That is huge info. For like decades, we didn't know really like if, I mean, there were statements about Toriyama saying that he just forgot, right? But this is huge. This is like a retcon. No, not really. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. So again, big shout outs to Vaughn. Again, I'm going to link Vaughn down in the description. Go give her a follow. There was this, okay, you guys have probably heard about the whole canon shit that apparently Toyotaro said that everything in Dragon Ball is canon, which I think is true that he said that. But let's read this, okay? So the canon question was asked by Crunchyroll more or less like this, with a light back and forth. There's a lot of debate surrounding the concept of canon as experts. What's your opinion? This was during that, I think it was Japan Expo or whatever expo that Torishima and Toyotaro are at. This question has become increasingly prevalent with the release of Dragon Ball Daima. The translator took the time to explain the concept of canon and how it compares to official history and continuity terminology. Toyotaro makes an O sound and Torishima laughs. This is as close to the actual words spoken by the translators as Vaughn could gather. Torishima answering first, okay? He will answer by just giving his point of view. So first of all, Mr. Toriyama was messy. He sometimes forgot the continuity of the characters he created. But on the other hand, he was always thinking about how to delight the fans. And so thirdly, that meant he made stories without thinking too hard. That's so Toriyama. So there is no continuity or order. That's all. Toyotaro. So actually, I like practically all the works that exist of Dragon Ball. For me, in my head, everything is more or less canon because I have seen / read everything. After the question of knowing what is canon or not is not really my role. And I think that sometimes it can be better that each fan decides for himself his own continuity and what is canon or not. I think that is not bad. That is not bad like that. I would have to agree. Who gives a fuck, right? At the end of the day, who gives a fuck? Because they clearly don't. None of them do. Toriyama never gave a shit about canon, continuity. He just did whatever he felt like doing, right? And Nakatsu said, I'm not really sure. Toritaro's goes, for example, Dragon Ball Online is a game I once played. For me, that's also part of the canon. So Toritaro's interpretation as canon is, if he's experienced it, is canon in his book, right? And hey, I don't blame him. To me, in my opinion, the way that I would interpret this shit is canon, not canon necessarily, but everything is official. Okay, it's all out there. As long as it's from Toyotaro, Toriyama, Bandai, Shueisha, whatever it may be, Toei Animation, if it's official, if it's out there, that's official, okay? Now, when it comes to the main shit, I would say that there's a main timeline. Okay, and the main timeline is OG Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, the end of Dragon Ball Z, right? That is the main series. That's the core series. That is everything, right? Everything else, GT, Dragon Ball Super, Daima, Heroes. What else is there? I don't know, TV specials and all that shit. That's just all extra to me. I've said this before several times in like videos. Okay, this is just my opinion, how I see Dragon Ball, okay? OG Dragon Ball to the end of Dragon Ball Z, that is your main shit. That is the core meat and potatoes, okay? Everything else, that's like, oh, we got that's all just dessert, right? All extra fun, good shit, okay? Because each one of those series, they do connect, they do reference things from the past, right? In Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff. But then it's like, it just branches off into so many other directions, right? And the same thing with like the movies, like, you can't, it's very hard to fit the movies into the main timeline. I'm talking about the original DBZ movies, right? Because it's like, there are points where it's like, okay, well, they're on a different planet, or they're fighting this big ass bitch, right? Or they're doing stuff in between. Like, how the fuck are they're fighting Lord Slug or fucking Turles? Or, I don't know, like the only one that could make sense is maybe like Cooler and maybe BoJack in a sense, but even with Cooler, like some things can be a little bit weird with that too. But the BoJack movie to me, I think is the best, the one that fits the most out of all of them, and maybe even what is it? Wrath of Dragon. Okay, Fusion Reborn can kind of fit into, but it's like Boo was still a threat at that time, right? So it's like that one's kind of weird too. Yeah, I just think that maybe Wrath of the Dragon and like BoJack. I'm getting off topic, but I'm just saying like those to me like can easily fit, because it's like after an arc already ended and you're kind of like in between things, you can throw in like a movie. Like those make a lot of sense, okay? And even with like the super movies, those make sense too, right? Like Broly comes after Tournament of Power, and Superhero comes after years and years and years after Broly, right? So like all that shit makes sense. So moving on here, Torishima, for me, Toriyama didn't pay attention to continuity or a chronology between the different stories. You have to take the stories individually and try not to create continuity. That is great. See, these are coming from like the official dudes, right? Torishima as editor worked with Toriyama, okay? We have Toyotaro who's worked with Toriyama, right? And they have their interpretations of it, but at the end of the day, they're just saying like, do whatever the fuck you want, right? So I saw a lot of people saying just because Toyotaro said that he said that everything is canon to him, right, means something. It doesn't. That's just his opinion, okay? He even says it, right? He even says, I think it can be better that each fan decides for himself his own continuity and what is canon or not, right? So people saying that, like trying to use his statement as like, oh, everybody has to be on board with that and everything is canon, right? No, if you don't feel like the movies or Dragon Ball Super or like Daima is canon to the main timeline or whatever the fuck, right? Canon, I hate that word at this point. It's just so annoying because people give a shit way too much about it. And I get it. I understand, right? I totally get that. But it's like, they don't care. They never have, right? So if you want to say that everything is canon, great. But don't try to put that opinion onto other people and say like, oh, well, because Toyotaro said it, it's 100%. It's legit, right? No, I mean, Toyotaro is a fan of Dragon Ball first, and a manga artist, you know, and story. I can't even speak. Storyteller, I guess, in a sense, you know, second when it comes to Dragon Ball, right? And I mean, I guess you know, he is the guy now, right? The guy for Dragon Ball, but I mean, he didn't write all this shit before, right? He didn't create Dragon Ball. That's Toriyama, right? But yeah, I'm getting off topic with all this shit. I just wanted to discuss the whole canon shit. If you think something's canon, good for you, but nobody cares, right? That's all I'm trying to say. Nobody cares. I mean, there are people who care, but like, they don't care. So to me, you go with whatever you feel like, right? Believe what you will in terms of that. But yeah, Dragon Ball, it ain't going anywhere. I just wanted to talk about Dragon Ball, dude. I could talk about Dragon Ball for hours. I like talking about it. And I know I said like, oh, you know, don't focus on Dragon Ball all the time. But no. You can still enjoy Dragon Ball and all the content that they're putting out for the games and all that stuff. I'm just saying when it comes to the anime and the manga and the future of the series with new material going forward, you know, just try not to you know, fixate too much on it because it's going to make the wait so much worse. You know what I'm saying? Go, you know, check out other things, go do other things. The wait will eventually go on because you're not thinking about it too much, right? But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
This is Broly, and you are watching SLOplays. Make sure to subscribe, or else I'll destroy your entire planet.